Hi, I'm Dr. Marcus.
And I'm Charlie, and this is the Mood Booster podcast.
In this episode, we're talking about how to heal your relationship with yourself, reflecting on inner dialogue.
This is a really exciting episode. It's actually our third guest episode. We are joined by Sam Hughes, or EmotionalSam. He's actually an old friend of mine from before this podcast. He's a mindset and relationship coach with a lot of lived experience and work in healing his own relationship with himself, his inner talk, and then healing his relationship with other people.
And as always, we unpack the psychological theories that relate to this area, talking about those theories in the context of inner dialogue. We also give you, towards the end, the tools, the tips that you can use to help improve your inner dialogue and work towards your relationship with yourself.
It's a fantastic episode. I learned a lot. It relates to so much of what we speak about, but there are so many tangible tools and tips that you can use on a daily basis, which is super useful. As I said, we both loved it, and we hope you love it too.
In this podcast, we share evidence-based advice, tools, and tips to help boost your mood, improve your well-being, and find joy in the everyday.
We talk about life's highs, lows, and everything in between, with real stories and reflections from our own journeys as well.
With pillars rooted in introspection, connection, and presence, this is the home of well-being and joy.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Woo!
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back to the Mood Booster podcast.
Buongiorno.
Welcome.
Bonjour.
If you're on YouTube, you will see that we have a guest. If you're on Spotify, you also hear as well. We have a guest with us here. Sam, welcome.
Thank you so
Welcome.
much for having me. So happy to be
Welcome.
here.
Absolutely
Welcome in.
amazing. Episode 30, isn't it?
Episode 30.
30. We are here with Sam. Today's episode, we are talking about how to heal your relationship with yourself and basically reflecting on our inner monologue or our inner sort of speech, isn't it?
Yep.
That's realistically what we're actually speaking about. It's everything on healing the relationship with yourself, as I've just mentioned there. Sam's whole journey, he's a content creator, absolute legend who I also know myself from before this podcast. Everything on, as I've just said, mindset coaching and then thus relationship coaching as well. Healing your inner relationship so that you can become healthier in life, I think. I know that's a real small tidbit. Why we think this is important, so much of our own journeys, Marcus and I here, is talking about our inner reflections, what we love speaking about and how to sort of become better people. And so much of that is reflecting inwards as well.
For sure.
So I know that's a really quick intro. Sam, thank you for joining us. It's fantastic to have you here. How are you doing today?
Very well. I'm a little bit tired. I'm currently house sitting for my brother.
Yes.
And he has this cat that is lovely, but very good at waking up at 4 a.m. and like begging for food and like scratching the door. So
It's always the way.
it is, isn't it? They
Always
do
the
love
way.
it, and especially it's a new person in the house,
Of
so they like
course.
trying to push your boundaries as much as possible. So I'm learning a lot about my own boundaries and how
Yes.
to enforce them with a cat, not just a human being,
Of
which is
course.
very good. But
Yeah.
yeah, feeling very good today. Very excited to be here.
You made that
Lovely.
video, didn't you, Marcus, recently of me when I was wearing
Oh
the
my
Dolomites.
god, yes,
The
hilarious.
cats at 5 a.m.
There's a whole thing. Basically, cats, and I saw a TikTok of this guy having not an argument, but like speaking to the cat, being like, in the 12 years I've owned you, when have I ever not fed you in the morning? Why are you screaming at me? And then Charlie was doing this thing. You probably saw it.
Yeah.
We were in the Dolomites and he was just eating this food and just singing to himself. And it just immediately reminded of the cat in the morning. So-
Amore mio or something, and then you made a
Yep.
meme saying
your
like
brother-
the cat at 4 a.m. or something.
Your brother commented like, it's not too late to delete this.
I love my brothers; they're great, biggest supporters.
Yes, thank you so much for being here, Sam. So excited for what we're going to get into today and what we're going to cover and talk about. But for our listeners, obviously we know you and what you do. Charlie's briefly introduced you. For our listeners, who is Sam? What do you do?
I am a content creator. I am a mindset and relationship coach. I go by the handle EmotionalSam because I feel like our emotions are so integral to our lives and they're so often not spoken about, especially with men in this day and age. And I am on a mission to make sure everyone can have a healthy, happy relationship. And I believe that starts with the relationship that we have with ourselves. Because we'll talk about this in more detail as we go, but everything you see from the world around you gets translated through your own lens, right? So if that is distorted in some way or another, it's going to distort what you see around you to your own lens. And there's like the pivotal step right? To how you interact with the world, how the things you see, and we talk about this in psychology a lot about like the translation of what happens around you is very different for every single person.
Yeah.
And I think we can see that because if that wasn't the case, everyone would have exactly the same reactions to everything that happens around us. And we know from everyone have very different reactions. We're all very individualistic as human beings. And I think noticing your lens, your distortions is the first step to changing them and moving forward. I think that's very, very important.
So, I mean, we literally say it to each other, our perspective is our reality. I know we've said that exact thing to each other multiple times.
Yeah,
so.
exactly that. I like the one of your reality, the quality of your reality is the quality of your emotional habits.
Okay,
right?
Very habits.
Yeah, because like we have emotional habits of how we interact with the world, of how we take things, like if we get defensive, if we have large emotional reactions or whatever.
Yep.
And that is our reality. That is our experience, like the emotional waves and ebbs and flows that we go through.
Yeah.
So if you have emotional habits that are maybe unhealthy, maybe have an unhealthy relationship with yourself, then the quality of your life is going to be dictated by that.
Yep.
So quality of life dictates by the quality of your emotional habits.
Interesting. I'm very
Lots to unpack
excited
today.
I'm super excited. Yeah, I was saying to Marcus prior to this that this is an episode I've been looking forward to for a long time. I know I briefly mentioned it. We actually have met years ago before I even knew you, Marcus, as well. Yeah. Obviously, we haven't seen each other in years.
We're the OG crew here.
I'm muscling in. The third wheel today.
Not at all. But yeah, our sort of, where we met, it wasn't through anything to do with mindset or any sort of internal. It was diving in Thailand, wasn't it? I know that's a step ahead. It'd be good to hear a little bit about, actually, before we get on to your sort of story as well. We have two questions which we always ask all of our guests because there have been loads. One thing from me first, then Marcus can follow up as well. Sam, for us, please tell the listener, what is one thing that boosts your mood when things get tough?
One thing that boosts my mood is nature. Putting my feet on the ground, watching the world go by, staring at a tree, you know, like reconnecting with the breath and reconnecting with the natural world, I think just puts me so much in touch with my own emotions, but like just roots me and grounds me in something. And I feel like when I've taken a lot of time away from nature is always when I start to, spiral, get into negative thought patterns or whatever. And often it just takes that 10-minute walk of sitting outside, being alone and reconnecting with what it actually is that's going on in the world. Sort of makes you feel a little bit smaller and a little bit, puts you in perspective.
Yeah, completely agree.
Agree. The other day, it's not really nature, but the other day I was on my way home and I just want to do that. So I literally just laid spread eagled on the Ealing Common.
Did you
on the
actually?
grass? Just called my mum and was like, I'm just on as close as I can be to some form of nature, just on the grass. And it was nice.
I've got one that I've like recently discovered. Have you know that when you lie outside and you've got nothing above you and you look at the clouds, you can literally feel if there are more clouds above you than not. Like if it's very humid, if it's about to rain, it feels completely different. I love tapping into that sort of like very micro feeling. We're going to talk about this more later because I think it's very, very important. But that like, I call it microdosing mindfulness of being able to tap into like a very, very minute physical sensation and how that can take you away from like these external thought patterns and sort of ground you in the moment. And that one I found the other day of like lying down and being like, I can feel that the air feels a bit heavier at the moment. And like, it's very weird, but
it makes sense, but it's also practicing that presence of just when your mind's spiraling, it's grounding you. Like you say, you're really just noticing what is in front of you and allowing your mind to just focus on right here, right now, as opposed to racing to whether it's irrational thoughts or whatever, this is happening in the future or this argument's going on. Like when you're just spiraling like that, it can be so helpful to just be just there. This is how many clouds I can see. This is the blade of grass I can feel or whatever.
Exactly. Like that sort of 3, 2, 1. What can I see? What can I feel? What can I smell? And I think about boosting mood is like, I always feel like if you look at nature, there's a tree that I can see out here and I'm going to be staring at the whole episode, I imagine. But like you can find beauty in everything in nature, I feel. If you look for it, you'll find it and it's there. And I just think that always boosts my mood, no matter if I'm positive, it makes me more positive. If I'm feeling in a negative mood, it makes me feel better. So nature is the one.
Love it. Yeah, it's cool.
I know we both fully speaking on your behalf, but knowing you, that's something that we both fully resonate with. So
100%.
My one is, what's something for yourself that you're working on at the moment? Whether that's in your own, your own personal life, but something for your own personal growth.
Yeah, personally, I'm working on my running and like my sort of physicality, and I knew
Mark
this
is
would
gonna
be.
love
Yeah,
that.
I knew this would be a good subject to talk about today.
He's gonna love that one.
Yeah. And you know what? Actually, seeing you guys and your journey with running, seeing all the content that you share, seeing how much like you've enjoyed running and doing all your big events and stuff recently, it's made me like reconnect with it, because I used to run a lot when I was a child and I was quite young, and I ended up getting a bit of a knee injury, and I've been like struggling with this knee injury for years and years and years, until recently I went to get like my running gait measured, and they were just like, you're wearing entirely the wrong shoes. You need these shoes. And like the knee pain went away immediately. And like now reconnecting with that joy, that bliss of just going and running, not for a time, not for a like a personal gain, just for being out there and breathing. 100%. Yeah. And I think that because I no longer scuba dive, and we'll talk about that in a minute, that we met while scuba diving, and that was like such a meditative mindfulness exercise for me, of just being with the breath, you know, being underwater, sort of that sport, getting back into running and allowing myself to enjoy it and not push myself for a particular time, or not push myself for growth, to go for the sake of going and for enjoying it. And it's interesting that like I'm working on not working on it, if that makes sense. And absolutely loving it. Like, isn't it amazing?
That's brilliant.
It's the enjoyment you can have when you strip back all of those expectations of, for example, not in your case, but like I've got to lose weight, I've got to get faster, I've got to whatever, you know, get bigger muscles, whatever it might be. When you can just enjoy it for what it is, and I'm just gonna, like you do when you enjoy your runs, like not take your watch, and I'm just gonna run and see where I get to and how it goes.
My favorite run I can recall recently, I mean, obviously we went to the Dolomites. that was the favourite run, probably spectacular. But a normal run, I'd say, is the one when I went back to Kingston. You know, I was about to say took off my shirt. I did, but the reason it was fun was because I didn't have earphones, didn't have a watch, went out and just did a loop of a really cool part of the park and river, and loved it. No expectations, morning, you know, breathing, simple, strip back, and it was just fun.
Yeah.
And that was it.
I love it. And how quickly like the kilometers can rack up as well when you do it, because when you're not focusing on it, it becomes, you focus on the process rather than the output, and then the output flies by without even
100%.
thinking about it.
Same reason why my favorite runs are always when I'm traveling and I'm just using it to like explore a new city, or like, where were we? In Inverness somewhere, I think, or near Inverness, when you had a meeting and I just ran along a beach and I just kept running because I was like, this is beautiful. And it was an out and back, so eventually I had to turn around, and the longer I kept running, the more I'd have to run back. And I was just like, I don't want to turn around. This is just nice. I'm seeing new things. And,
becomes like a Forrest Gump moment. Where, like, he's still running to this day, folks.
Still running, very nice. Well, you mentioned there a bit of scuba diving. It'd be great for our listener here with us now, and also for our own sake as well, to go through a bit of your journey, because I know mindset and sort of, you know, coaching or relationship and looking inwards hasn't always been your primary focus, but it's always been something that you've loved, correct?
Yeah, totally. And I think that, you know, my story is an interesting and sort of traditional story of going to university, working to get a good job in the arts. I had my own theatre company that I was running with some friends as well. So I was doing that like alongside my full-time job, where I was managing like art centres in London, which was super, super cool. We had like studio spaces for artists, and making like a community hub was really my focus. And I was sort of putting lots of pressure on the classic, like getting the next promotion, working my way up in the field, meeting loads of new people, loads of artists that were really fun. But then there was always a new exhibition to go to. There was a new event. Someone released a new album. Someone had, you know, designed a new building. And I was living the life that I thought that I always wanted, right? I was in London. I was surrounded by loads of friends. I was climbing 3 times a week. I was going to all these fun events. But I realized at some point that I wasn't enjoying it. And I think I had this moment where I sat on this sofa. It's like a new sofa that I was so happy, and I wanted the sofa for a long time, me and my partner at the time. And I sat down, and immediately as I sat on it, I was like thinking about the next one. You know, it was no, like, as soon as I sat on the sofa, I didn't care about the sofa anymore. I was looking for the next thing, looking for the next hit. And I kind of realized like something has to change if I'm unable to enjoy this moment. Do you see what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Fully resonate,
Yeah. And then, so I made like quite a big dramatic step to move out of London, to go and do some scuba diving for a bit, to move to Thailand, which is where I met Charlie.
Yep.
And that was a phenomenal experience because I got to get back in touch with nature, to learn something new, to grow in so many amazing ways and meet new people. But the more I did it, the more I realized that the same thought patterns that I had when I was in London, when I was working this busy job, when I was surrounded by all of these sort of stressors, I would have called them, I realized those same thought patterns were coming up on the beach in Thailand. Right, I was having the same negative self-talk, the same relationship with myself, where I wasn't content. I wanted to grow more in the scuba diving. I wanted to push harder. I was like, okay, well, when can I get that promotion? What's going to happen next? What's going to go? So even though I was in a completely different place, I was in paradise, I didn't feel like it. I didn't have it in my heart. And that's when I really thought like, okay, I've got to start to look at what the common denominator is here. It's probably me and how I'm filtering this world through my lens.
Interesting.
And that's where I started to really make those changes. Yeah.
Was there like a triggering moment that made you realize that this is an internal dialogue thing, or something that, or was it kind of just a culmination of everything?
I think it was a bit of a culmination of everything, but there was this one moment I had where we were watching some fireworks on the beach. And I was looking around at like loads of different people that were there and enjoying it. And there was a younger child who was staring up at these fireworks and was like completely mesmerized. And like, I could see the flashing colors on their faces. And I was looking at like, God, like, how would it be? Like, how would it feel to enjoy fireworks that much? And I remember seeing there was like their parents and then like lots of other people I was around. And they also were all having these like, ooh, moments of this firework. And I was thinking like, wait a second, like, why am I not having that moment? And I remember thinking back at that time to when I was a child, when I was like 9 or 10, and it was like bonfire night, and there were these fireworks in like a field where I grew up in the countryside. And one of my best friends, Ed, at the time, was
Shout out Ed.
Shout out Ed Humphreys, thank you so much.
We love you.
He was saying how much he loved it. And I remember saying like, fireworks are a bit lame. It was like what I said out loud. And he was like, I knew you'd say that.
Really?
And for some reason, it really it stayed with me. And then all these years later, when I'm on a beach in Thailand, I'm having that same thought process where I wasn't enjoying the fireworks, even though they were there. And at that point, I was like, I need to change this.
Yeah.
I need to change these thoughts because one, they've been rooted in childhood. I've been rehearsing them for years and years and years, but also like they weren't making me happy. Everyone else was staring at these fireworks, having an amazing time. And I was sat there going, why am I here? What's next? You know, what's going on? Sort of thing.
It's interesting. You just use the word rehearsing there. It's like a story you tell yourself. It's this inner dialogue. I mean, this is literally why we're here. It's the inner dialogue, but it's the story you sort of say.
Yeah. And I think I find it a really interesting turn of phrase. And I love that you picked up on it, of rehearsing, because lots of people, we have these sort of, let's call them defense mechanisms or whatever. We have these internal dialogues that we pick up when we're younger, and we reinforce them by doing them over and over and over again. And they become very familiar, right? And then it's very difficult to break them afterwards. And we don't sort of realize that we're rehearsing these things over and over again. And I think that once I realized that I was doing that, I was rehearsing it, it made me think, what else can I rehearse? Right? Like, how else can I break that cycle? Yeah. What can I do to sort of like interrupt that pattern and to move forward?
Interesting.
I'm interested before that step. I think just to break it down, how did that feel in that moment? Feeling, I can assume my interpretation from that is I'm hearing some isolation, but like how did that feel? Like just to be sort of in that moment, seeing these people, but feel so sort of separate from it at the same time.
Yeah, lonely, scared, worried, anxious, like a little bit of all of those things, and also a bit angry at myself for going through it. But I think that it also made me realize that I've been quite sort of avoidant of my emotions in the past and always pushing them away. And I think this is sort of a very British and a very like toxic masculinity thing of hiding behind this stoic wall of like, everything is fine, I'm fine, no matter what happens, like here we are. And I think becoming aware of those emotions of what I was feeling was quite scary at the time, because I've been not allowing myself to feel them. So I had this sort of big rush of negative emotions that ran through, but also I had this like childish joy of seeing fireworks for the first time in years. And that moment of like, as humans, we have just created these like colorful, bombs in the sky
cool,
just for
isn't it?
enjoyment. Yeah, it's amazing. Like,
Purely for joy.
purely for joy. And like years and years ago we created this thing, and you can look at it and just go like, that is wonderful. Like, and what a wonderful thing for humans to create. What a wonderful thing for us all to congregate on a beach and just look at like some pretty colors.
Yeah.
You know. And I think from avoiding emotions, yes, the initial thing became like a big waft of negative, but also this waft of positive emotions. And since then, I've learnt to tap into those positive emotions even more and bring them out. And I think I always try to now see the world through the lens of a 5 or an 8-year-old child. Or one of my friends said the other day, like a benevolent alien, right?
Benevolent alien.
Yeah, like imagine like you're a benevolent alien that's just come into London and you're like, what are all these funny things that people are wearing?
Yeah.
What is that? Like, there's a metal thing with wheels that's traveling at 70 miles an hour. Like, how is that possible? Like, that's amazing. Like, there's a tin box in the sky with wings. Like, what is going on? Like, it's so much wonder. And I think that now has made me feel like so much more joy, so much more presence, and so much more enjoyment every single day. And that's like incredibly important to me in my experience.
Yeah.
It's funny you've mentioned that. It's the presence as well. That is whether it's the fireworks or the box in the sky, so much of the mood booster is presence, and that being a key to joy.
100%.
So it's great to hear that through tapping into not only the positive but the negative emotions of the ones which you feel like you're avoiding. This joy was always accessible, but you weren't almost allowing yourself to get to it as well.
Absolutely that. Yeah.
No, cool.
Something that resonates with me in that story as well is because it's something that I do, is the looking laterally to other people, you know, seeing the less so the child, because, you know, there's less of all of that, those other things, but maybe the parents around you, and thinking, you're smiling, you must be having the best time, and allowing that also to dictate your own well-being and your own perspective of that moment. Something that, for sure, like that comparison, right? And the comparison is, how do we know that? And all we can, I guess it comes back to, is that, like you saying, the presence of, all I can do is be present in my own space and try to do my best to enjoy this moment. Or, you know, if I'm not, what can I do to remedy that? Because looking to you over there or to you over here, and that comes to other things, you know, like in the work, in things like what we were just talking about, running, all of those things is the looking laterally as well. It interplays with all of these things, right?
Yeah, totally. And like how comparison is like the thief of joy, right? Is what we always say. I think that it's very, very true, because you can look and you can compare, and essentially you're trying to be a mind reader, right? You're saying like, these people are happy, they must be having a better time than me. Maybe they have more money than me, maybe they have more of this, right? But you have no idea what's going on in their experience and their world. And that brings us back very nicely to the relationship we have with ourselves, because we will always view other people through the lens that we are viewing the world. So if we are having a negative time at the moment, we will view other people's reactions to us, other people, as being more negative, right? We will always reinforce confirmation bias. We'll always reinforce these ideas that we have about ourselves.
Interesting.
And I think that that's like incredibly important to notice, but also it's incredibly powerful, because like then you can start to try to sort of take control over it and redirect it into a more positive way.
Definitely.
It seems like the first step there is noticing the fact that these are there in the first. It's something throughout my own journey.
Yeah,
it took me years to even begin to notice it, because it takes radical accountability from my own sort of view.
yeah.
Like I know you said it was when you had moved places and these problems had still followed you, and you know you're still like, well, then I must be the factor. For someone, or for our listener here as well, or just for anyone, what is the easiest way to be able to even notice these things in the first place?
100%. I think that first it's like developing some sort of emotional dialect and emotional conversations with people, and being able just to sit and to be there with your emotions. So one of the things I now tell all of my clients and people I work with, and I always try to do myself as much as possible, is every day sit for 10 minutes on your own without any distractions. Because like in this life, we are so fast paced. We're constantly on our phones. We're constantly talking to people. We're moving from place to place. We have podcasts to listen to while we're moving, right? We're never like static and just checking in with ourselves to see how we're feeling. And I think that the first step is just giving yourself the space and the time to check in with yourself of like, what am I actually feeling right now? What am I actually going through? And for me, that initial like foundation started with what do I feel in my body, you know?
Yes.
Like, which I think is a very good way to tap into our emotions, especially
100%,
yeah
100%.
like, what am I going through, what am I feeling, what does this mean, what are the thoughts that are coming up?
Well, this is something. Sorry to cut you off there,
carry
Marcus, but why this is something that I resonate hugely. When I was younger, or like even in my early 20s, I'm 25 now, but still, I always thought that just, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? Not how am I feeling?
Yeah.
For me, the difference took me a long time to learn, to like figure out, no, what's the visceral feeling in my body? What's the emotion I'm feeling? And labeling that took me years.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to know that that's firstly, just give yourself space to try and feel it first.
Yeah. And I think that's so interesting you say that, because I think that we don't teach emotions to men in general, like throughout the years. I think it's getting better and better, like now. But I feel like the default emotion that boys are taught and to understand is anger, is frustration, you know, and that's like, boys will be boys, which is such a like an annoying phrase. It's like, oh well, boys, when they feel this thing, they'll fight, they'll punch each other, they'll fight over something they're passionate about, they'll fight over someone or something like wild. And I think that learning to tap into those emotions is the first step to then being able to start to verbalize what it is you're going through, what is that emotional world and that emotional journey.
For sure. If you're taught from an early age, don't, we say this on so many episodes, but like, don't cry because you'll be like a girl.
Yeah.
You're going to internalize that, so you don't even know that you feel those emotions. So then how can you expect to then externally express them if you won't even allow yourself, or unknowingly, to even feel that? I love my friend, I love this moment, I'm crying because I'm really sad that this upset me, or this film upset me. All of those things, I just either need to be angry or show affection through pointing fun at you, because that's the way I know how to do it, and that's how I've learned. And it's the same loop coming back to those sorts of things.
You can't let your homies know that you care about them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
ridiculous,
right.
isn't it?
I love you, bro.
Right, exactly.
Hey, mate, we're so good. It's funny.
Yeah, I also was going to pick up on like you mentioned it as well, but I think for the listener, so being so busy, that physiologically, like is what you're saying, you could have a stomach problem, or I don't know, whatever it is, constant headaches, and I'm so busy, I'm just going to get to my work, I'm just going to do the job, come home, feed the kids or whatever, feed the cat, whatever, go on my run, go to run club, come home, or do whatever it is that, hold on a minute, I've been having a headache for the last 10 days and I've been taking painkillers, but it's not going away. Your body is also does amazingly to tell you when there's things.
Yes.
Like the brain body connect, where only like research is only really just untapping, right? And the gut as well, and how hugely impactful that is. And those sorts of things, if we can just take a second, like you say, which is really cool, like just 10 seconds, 10 minutes to just be like, oh, actually, how am I? What's my body saying today? What's my brain saying today? And when we talk about our mental health and our well-being, it's not just about what's going on here. It's also what is my body telling me, which is really cool to picked up on.
I don't think I've already spoken about this, but I went to therapy a while ago, and one of the first things that my therapist had me do was, what's your body telling you? What's the physical reaction to what you're experiencing now? First ever thing that happened. And I remember, like, it was a number of years ago now, but I remember it being like a really weird, I was like, why does that matter? Why does it matter? I was like shaking. And I was like, oh, I'm just cold, or I'm nervous. It's like, no, that's your body reacting. When it's so suppressed down there, I remember she was saying, you often feel it before you can think it.
Yeah. I love this one exercise I do with clients and friends and family of, you put your hand on your head and you say, like, what is my head telling me right now? And you talk, like, you try to talk from the head, and without getting too deep into like psychological speak, right? You can just like very, very emotionally, what is my head saying right now? And then what is my heart saying right now? And then what is my gut saying right now? And people come up with so many different answers, and people that don't have an emotional language, just with like the hand placement and the slight thought of separating these things without knowing it, they end up speaking about like so much more emotions and depth and clarity than they know they had. I think it's really interesting when you have someone that you say, what are you feeling right now? And they say, I don't know. Right. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so you are feeling things. There's definitely like a depth of emotion. You're a full human being going through life. But I don't know is like, there's this block because you can't connect with it yet. And I think dipping into that connection is so important. And
Wow.
I always try to, with guests, play a bit of a devil's advocate for like not the cynic, but the cynical listener who might be like, so what I'm trying to say is for someone that might say, why should I, I'm fine, I'm functioning okay, why do I have to unpack all of these things? We know that might, but if that were the question, what would...
It hurts to do it. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's a really interesting question. I guess for everyone has their own capacity for how much work they want to do on themselves and what sort of life experience they want to have. And if someone is very content and very happy with the life that they are going through, then you can't force anyone to do that work. And for them, maybe they don't want to. They don't want to do it. But I think that as human beings, we can always improve and we can always have a more positive experience than we are having now.
Yes, definitely.
And for me, I think the goal in life is to enjoy. We're here for like a blink of an eye on this like small rock that is flying through the solar system at hundreds and hundreds of miles an hour. Like all I want to do is get through the day with a smile on my face and have a wonderful time. And if doing this inner work, this challenging, like having these difficult questions of digging into this relationship with ourselves can help create that, then why, like my sort of counter argument is, why would you not?
This conversation here also, for me, it's just kind of like it's an enjoyable mastery of the self, right? It's like it's cool to learn about yourself and to understand yourself, and if maybe that's not something you want to do, fine, but maybe also ask why you might not want to why you might not want to do that, because it's ugly and it's all of the things. It can be hard, it can be joyful, it can be everything, all of the above, but ultimately, as you say, we're here for a split second. Why not have fun with just learning and knowing ourselves as the best we can, I guess.
You said it in the beginning, was our perspective is our reality, and if your perspective is better, your reality is better. Thus, hey, I'm offering you this opportunity to have a better reality. Would you like to take it? It can be as simple as that.
Yeah.
You will have a better enjoyment. All that the mood booster is about is finding joy in the everyday. That is our mission here. And if it's through unpacking these things and getting to learn yourself better, why the hell not, as you said?
Yeah,
exactly.
I love that.
Yeah. I think it'd be really cool for the listener to, and we want to give advice on how to maybe start to work on an inner dialogue, but why that might be important. And I know you touched on the loops and the cycles and the reinforcement and things, and then negative attribution bias. Would it be good for us to sort of just unpack what that actually is and might look like, to then explain why it might be good to challenge that?
Yeah, totally. So I think we can do like a fun little exercise. We want to.
I'm keen.
Yeah. Can I use you as a
Sure,
okay,
please.
great. We'll see how this goes. So what I want you to do is I want you to look around this room and count all the brown things that you can see. Yeah, get a good look. Everything you can.
For the listener, he's just currently scanning the room.
Taking a little.
Okay.
Yeah. Now close your eyes.
Okay.
How many blue things are in the room?
Jesus Lord. I'm not Scoobies. I do not know. I don't know, 10. I guess. I have no idea.
Open your eyes, take a look around, right? And just think, did you think about the chair that you're sat on, for example?
Or my jeans.
Or your
No,
jeans, right? These things that are
Or your
physically
cup.
attached to you.
No, I didn't
I
know.
love this stuff.
And it's just like the brain is so powerful, right? And also the brown things you were looking at, right? Like the things you were looking at, are they all actually brown? Right? Did you look at this the sort of yellow on this painting and tell yourself it's brown? Well, is it actually brown? Is it orange? Exactly.
Pink.
You created it to be brown in your head because we want to reinforce these beliefs. We want to feel good at something. So how many brown things can I spot when you go?
Yeah.
So if you have these negative beliefs about yourself, right, you will find evidence to support that in the world. Right, so if I told you to look for blue things, you wouldn't have noticed that many brown things, right?
Yeah.
So if these negative beliefs are, if I don't feel good enough, or I don't feel worthy of love, or whatever it is, these very big negative beliefs, you will go around life finding evidence to support that, right?
Wow.
So then, two people can be in exactly the same situation. Someone can say exactly the same phrase to someone, and someone who has a negative relationship with their self will take it as a negative. They might react with defensiveness, with criticism, or shutting down and stonewalling, for example. Yeah. And someone else that has a positive view of themselves might have the exact same phrase, they might hear it and think of something completely different. They might see blue instead of brown in the phrase. Yeah.
It's really interesting. And there's so many reasons why that might develop, whether that's from childhood, your attachments, or whether you've experienced trauma and you've never had those positive experiences, or for whatever, there's so many different reasons. But I know we were speaking before about the actual processes underneath that and the different things. And we've spoken on this episode, on this podcast, about negative attribution bias, already mentioned. Amygdala, all of that. So the functioning in the brain, the little almond in your brain that is the threat sensitive function. I love evolutionary psychology. And I think it's reductionist at times, definitely reductionist at times, but definitely logical and makes sense. And in this sort of situation, whether you've learned it or whether this is something, we are, from an evolutionary perspective, hardwired to focus and see the negatives because it helps us survive. We have our amygdala, which is then demanding attention to, okay, come my way so you can tell me all the threats. So these attention systems within your brain are looking for and serving that part of your brain to make sure, okay, there's a threat over there, there's a threat over there. So in with what you're saying, it makes perfect sense that if you have this belief, and in a modern world we don't have a lion to defend ourselves against, so it's more, do I look this way? Has someone interpreted my comment in a bad way? It's a lot more of these not fundamental life-threatening things, but these are the things that are threatening to us now. We see those things because it helps us, quote unquote, survive. But actually we don't necessarily need to think that way, and we can survive and actually thrive by challenging those primal innate things.
I absolutely love that. And I love that, like, we are, our brain developed 300,000 years ago, like the human brain, and even more so with like the lizard brain. And that, like, we're still running on that same program. And essentially, you're right, it's threat detection, right? We want to make sure that we're not going to die, that we're going to feel safe. And now, because we don't have those lions, right? Instead, the threats that we have are like social threats. And so our brain reacts in the same way that we did when we were monkeys, when we were primates. We were like, okay, well, if I upset this person, then I'm going to be kicked out. I won't be allowed next to the fire, right? Or I won't get any food later, and I'm going to die. So for us right now, we react with that same level of, like, it feels life-threatening in those moments. Your heart reacts to these massive anxieties.
It reminds me of a TikTok I saw of this girl that's like, can someone tell my limbic system that this email from my boss isn't the same as a lion?
It's true though.
That's quite good.
It's just hilarious because it's exactly that.
That's really funny.
And physiologically, so you've got your all of the responses, your adrenaline, your cortisol, all of that happening, and it's like, because someone looked at me in a certain way, or because, again, I'm wired, or my brain is looking for confirmation of that threat, as opposed to they might have looked at me in a certain way. It's a prime example. Someone looks you up and down on a tube. If you're seeing yourself negatively and you have those loops and all of those things, it's like, they think I look crap, like they're judging me, they're looking badly at my outfit. If you're like, I look fire today, I look great, you'd be like, they're checking out my outfit because I look great.
Exactly.
Same situation, different responses.
And it's the interpretation. And yes, your attention is still, you're focusing on that, so you have seen that. But so then you do get into some more of like the cognitive side and how you choose to interpret things. But still, it's you're first noticing it in the first place, right? And it's then how you choose to reframe those things you pick up on.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think, that comes back around to, like, how do we start this process within ourselves? And we start by noticing our emotions, by going through and, like, actually feeling these things, then start to notice what that internal dialogue is.
I was just about to ask, how do you figure out which, I know you gave a few examples of, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve this. How do you figure out what your inner voice is saying? Like, how does one figure that out?
So I love to look at, like, one's triggered reactions in those moments where you have large emotional reaction to things. And I think that, like, those moments to me are like a massive signpost towards something that is going on inside me that I'm not happy with, right? Something that's not sitting right. And often we can look at it by questioning, like, okay, what actually is the worst case scenario here? What actually is it that I'm worried about? Am I worried that someone's going to leave me? Like, why am I worried that someone's going to leave me? What would it mean if someone left me? Well, it would mean that I'm alone. Okay, what would it mean if you are alone? It would mean that I'm not lovable, that I'm going to be alone forever, that I'm going to be, 55 and have no kids, and, like, whatever. You find the core wound, the core fear, and typically it's shame, embarrassment, or a fear about something happening in the future. And when you can find those sort of, like, that core thing that is, like, just triggering you, that's like your big signpost to this is what I feel, right?
Wow.
See what I mean?
Yeah, it's finding the core of it. and that's where you can start.
Yeah.
But then is it through, so even for our listener here with us now, is it just through, like, is it through saying it or writing it down and being like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah, so I like that process for people that are quite logical, that can write it out. But I think the process starts with being aware, talking about it more with people, and if you can, writing it down, or speaking it verbally, whether that's like on your own with some sort of verbal journal as well, and getting out the thoughts and the emotions, so they're not just this crazy knot of emotions in your head, and actually like writing it down of, I feel this when this happens, right? Like that, I feel like that means about me this.
Yeah.
I am scared of this.
Yeah.
Right. And just like actually verbalizing them and getting it out in the open, then you start to understand the sort of internal process rather than just the knot of all these crazy things going on.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I have so many thoughts and questions. Maybe I'll come back to that one actually for later in terms of challenges, because I think it's important for. Well, actually, you know what? So for someone who is trying to do that, right? Okay, so we've got an activating event here, or an event that's happened. It's then caused this feeling in me, which now we're saying, okay, let's unpack that feeling and get to the bottom of it. What's the root of that? For someone who's maybe struggling to understand that and really understand, okay, why is that rejection really upset me, and they can't figure out whether it's because I'm not going to find a relationship or be a dad by the time I'm 50, or because I was rejected when I was young. If they can't figure that out, where is there, I don't know, is there
It's scary.
steps? Yeah, because I'm just thinking of the listener feeling like, I'm really trying but I don't know, and I'm not sure, and yeah,
I think
overcoming those challenges, I think.
Yeah, I think talking about it as much as possible with friends, with family, or a professional.
Yeah.
There are lots of professionals out there that their job is to help dig into these things and to translate what is going on in your brain, and to have more of that awareness. And I think that it can feel like a huge task if your goal is, I'm going to be fully healed, I'm never going to have negative thoughts about myself, and I'm going to be like up here. And if someone is struggling with these negative things, of course that feels terrifying. It feels like a massive mountain to climb. But I think that the goal isn't, ultimate happiness and peace, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, the goal is to keep furthering along the journey, to keep like unpacking it as you go and going through this life. Oh, you're both smiling at me, and I'm like, what's happening?
We say this all the time.
Yeah.
You never. It's not life. Life is, you never reach. Life is becoming the whole time.
Yeah.
Until the day you die, you're always becoming. It's never getting to that point. And the second you can relinquish that, I'm trying to reach here and I'm always becoming, it just allows you to do all of those things that you're saying, which is why I think we're great at each other.
Neural activation.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, something that I know you've said to me, and like the fact that we're even having this conversation, and for our listener here with us, such a big part that should be celebrated is the fact that one's already here listening, because that most likely means they're looking to get something out of it, or the want to improve. I know you say this a lot. The want to improve alone is huge, because it takes that awareness of the first step being like, I have these things here I want to fix. From my observation, a lot of people, and this might be a bit of a generalization, but a lot of people go through what we call life and never try and tap into the higher self or like look inwards. And so the fact that, you as the listener are here now, even wanting to sort of find out more about your inner dialogue, shows that there's an awareness there to want to improve, and that's huge, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me very, very briefly about a book that I was reading with my wife at the moment, of the book that you wish your parents had read and your children will thank you for reading. And it's all about like looking at parenting and looking at the psychology of parenting and all of the challenges that one will go through, and then like relating that to the world. But just like the very fact that you are there taking a step towards this journey, whether it's just listening to this podcast and listening to other people talk about their emotions and digging into it, means like you are walking along that road, and that is the point. That is it. That is all you need to do. It's just like to keep walking on the road and to keep exploring and figuring out life as you go. And I think that's beautiful.
Definitely.
So instead of like being daunted by the thing of saying like, I don't know what to do, as we always say with everything, be kind to yourself and know
Compassion.
be compassionate and know you're already on that journey.
Yeah.
there is so much more to come, but be compassionate.
Yeah. I think in terms of tangible tools, we've both mentioned, or we've all mentioned here, speaking to people, as something that I hugely agree with. But while mentioning that, I don't want people to feel isolated, because a lot of people struggle to find someone in the first place to talk to. And I think it would be nice to speak to that for a moment. But I also want to just unpack why and how it's so important to potentially speak to someone, whether that's a friend, a family member, or a professional, because you have this internal dialogue, and your brain is so confusing, and we have all of this stuff going on in trying to tell someone, give meaning through language, in our case English language, to someone. You have to give it meaning. You have to give what's going on in your brain meaning, because you have to convey that to someone so they can understand. So to do that, it's an active process in your brain where you're sort of putting puzzle pieces together, or untangling a knot, because okay, they need to understand me, therefore I need to understand it to be able to put language to it so they can understand it. So that process in itself, and that can be done through journaling, because there doesn't always have to be someone, but by even just giving language to something is the reason why a problem's shared is a problem half, because it just takes so much power from this confusion in your brain, because I've actually just, in this activity, without even realizing, I've given more meaning to it or more interpretation to it than I even realized. But yeah, I also don't want people to feel, I'm conscious of our listeners feeling like worried about, it's so hard to feel comfortable to speak to people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or to feel isolated, if you might have a partner, or you might have a parent or a sibling or whoever, but it feels like the scariest thing in the world to be able to approach that. And I just don't want to. Journaling is always a good first step, right? You always speak to that, Charlie.
That was my entry into this whole journey, was journaling. It was getting it down on paper, and it literally started with the bare bones of what did my day look like. It was, what was I thinking? And then it slowly moved into, well, how did that event which happened today actually make me feel? Was I sad? Was I angry? Looking back at it, I don't judge myself. You say this, and I would like to hear more. I was using the tools I had at the time, and that's absolutely fine. But then, even just starting is the most important thing, because I unfortunately didn't feel whether it was comfortable or confident enough, because I didn't know enough about it to speak to someone else. But then in turn, looking inwards and just starting to journal was, it was the first step that opened those gates.
Yeah. For me, I think journaling was really, really important, but I got into that trap where I would buy a journal, I would write 3 or 4 pages, and I'd put it away again, and then a year later be like, oh yeah, I should journal. And so for me, I think it's probably because I'm dyslexic, and writing isn't a stress-free task for me. So I found what was really helpful was to voice memo. Yes. So journal, put my phone up to my ear, go for a walk, and speak it out. And that for me just unlocked that journaling link that you were just saying.
It's the audio journaling.
Yeah.
Really good.
I think it's absolutely amazing. I also want to just touch on the fact of speaking about it is so important, but there are things that you can start to do in your day-to-day life on your own, where you can start to prime your relationship with yourself, start to sort of move those things away from something that, if you feel like you are stuck in these negative spirals. And one of the things that I love to do is, it's a mammoth task to try and control all of your thoughts, right? Studies vary massively about how many thoughts we have per day, but it's anything from 30,000 to hundreds and hundreds of thousands, I think. So you cannot control all of your thoughts. But what you can do is you can control the first thought when you wake up in the morning and the last thought before you go to bed. So this I always find really helpful for me, priming my day as soon as I wake up with intention, with gratitude. I like to, for example, not look at my phone immediately. I try to have half an hour to an hour in the morning of no phone. I'm not just welcoming in all of this, the news, social
noise,
media, all this noise into my life. But to start with, what am I grateful for? What is it right now that I'm grateful and I'm happy for? And I do it with my wife. When we wake up, if we either us feel like we've woken up on the wrong side of the bed, we sit down and we root ourselves in that, or going for a little walk before work or whatever it is. So that one I find really, really helpful. And then highlights. I know you do tip and dip?
Peek and pit.
Peek and pit. Oh, I knew I was going to get it wrong.
But so close.
Tip and pit.
There's also rose and thorn.
Rose and thorn. I do highlight, low light.
Okay, nice.
Yes. And ending the day with 3 highlights of your day.
Interesting.
And like, even if you have had a very difficult day, if you're stuck in these negative cycles, if you look for those highlights, you will be able to find them.
Yeah.
And it can be literally anything, whether it's like a very satisfying bowel movement, you know. Could have gone for anything else.
Sure.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But there will be something.
That did not sound satisfying.
That did not.
Wow. Sounds like an
It
accident.
does usually.
But there will be something satisfying. There will be something lovely. There will be some highlights in your day if you decide to look for them.
Yes.
Are these part of the emotional habits that you were referencing earlier?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing, I guess, of if you are looking for the negatives, you will find the negatives. Where if you're looking for the positives, you can find the positives.
Yeah.
So if you want to jump in.
No, carry on.
No, if you're trying, for example, if you did do the inner work and you found that you have this sort of core thought of, I don't feel lovable, for example, if you literally just put in your calendar 5 minutes every day where you're going to try and find some evidence from that day that you are lovable, for example, if you just dedicate the time to it, you will find some evidence to back that up. And it's like that thought and intention can be huge. Sometimes it's all you need is the thought and the intention to be able to find it and to start to disrupt these thought patterns that you are stuck in and going through.
Interesting. So it's, again, just for my own sake as well to follow, it's through highlighting the negative thought or the core of it means that we can then put ourselves onto this path of using these tools and tips to then create a healthier inner dialogue as well.
Yeah, exactly that. I think awareness is the first step, and the awareness that, it's a story you are telling yourself.
Yeah.
And who is in charge of the story you're telling yourself is always the narrator, is always us.
Yeah.
We are always the one that are in control.
So I'm breaking that down. I'm seeing
Please.
activating event, whatever that is, triggers these thoughts, which then you come to notice and become aware of, whether that's through your inner work or through speaking to people. Then the next step, if we're putting it like that, is then these things like 10 minutes for myself, or 3 things that have gone well today, or noting down 5 things that are great or beautiful or brilliant about myself. These are those ways of challenging that interpretation of that activating event.
Yeah, absolutely that. And the more aware of it, the more we're trying to change them retrospectively, the easier it is to do it in the moment too. So I know I talked a little bit about like finding a trigger, right? For me now, it's like I use this in the context of my relationship quite a lot. If I get defensive about something in my relationship, like we are both well aware that this is a moment where we can, like something is happening inside of me, something big here, and we can look and find what that is. And like my defensiveness for whatever is happening isn't about the event, right? It's not the observable event. It's what I'm making the observable event mean. Yeah. So I think one really useful tool here is just breaking down, what is the observable event that has happened in reality? What did I make it mean? So I'm going to use a really quick example of like in the car on the way here. Right. My partner she asked like, have you messaged our friends yet? Right. And my first thought was like, no, I haven't done it yet. I've been so busy. I'm driving the car. Like I'm going to get to it. Right. And I thought like, where did that come from? Like what did I just hear her say? What I heard was, you're a bad friend. You haven't replied yet. They're disappointed in you. I'm disappointed in you. Right.
Wow.
Right. Which is like quite big negative things for me to be
sure.
telling myself. And what she was asking was, have you sent that text message yet? Because I want to add something to it. Right. It's like completely different like translation of the event.
For sure.
Yeah. And sort of the more you do it retrospectively, the more you can do it in the moment and start to challenge it as you go.
Also, why communication is so important.
Totally.
So not only like that's where it leads on to then with, and I know there's a lot of what you do is the relationships with other people, and that's why that's my communication with myself and my interpretation. But let me let you know that that's what I thought, without. And that, that there has to be work there between whether it's 2 people or a group, that there's not going to be the judgment or the jumping down each other's throats. But like, this might be incorrect, but this is what I interpreted from that. And you can't have that in every single conversation, every single day. But like when these things happen, the more you can openly be like, I know this might not be right, but this is what you did, or this is what happened, and this is how it made me feel. And I just want you to know that. And we can either talk about how that wasn't the case, or actually what your intentions were. But just communicating that in itself just takes all the power away and allows,
Absolutely. Like in my wife, me and my wife, we have this statement of, what did you just hear me say? So if there's ever like, if either one of us have like a big reaction to something, is, what did you just hear me say? An immediate like pause between like, to stop that sort of reaction that keeps building up. We're like, oh, I just heard that like I'm a loser for dropping this, or like whatever it is. Like, what did you just hear me say? And I think when you have that level of communication, the more you can talk openly about it, the easier it is to dissect and work together to work on them.
Yeah, for sure.
Really interesting.
Interested to come to some potential barriers or challenges, because obviously a lot of your work is okay. So you're working retrospectively on this is what I've learned, and this is how I can, from retrospectively, this is what I've learned, and this is how I can challenge that to then prospectively go into situations or events to, you know, positively interpret these things, for example. But life's not linear like that, and when we're human beings, which I know you speak about a lot, is we're human beings and we're able to make mistakes. One thing that I'm so bad at, and I've become a lot better at, and it's an area of development for me, is punishing myself for feeling like I've tripped up here, or like I'm not doing this correctly. And I know a lot of listeners will do as well. How do you feel? People, I know that you can just say, you know, we're not perfect, and that's the crux of it. But how do we, in the moment, get away from that negative punishment of I'm supposed to be feeling good about myself, I'm supposed to be looking for these 5 good qualities, I'm supposed to be interpreting this positively, but today I've just not done that, then spiraling from that.
Yeah. It's so interesting, isn't it? Like having negative self-talk about negative self-talk.
It's such a spiral.
It's
absolute whirlwind.
Absolute whirlwind, absolutely. I always like to speak to myself in those moments like I'm an emotional 5-year-old. You know, go back to like absolutely the basics. Like, what is it that I'm feeling? Is I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling angry. Like, it's okay to go through those emotions, to feel them. Like they're very real and they're very prominent. And you don't have to be feeling good. Like, again, as we said, that's not the goal, right? I think that we need to stop trying to feel better and we need to start trying to feel more. Right, the more we tap into those things, the more we dig into it, the more the joy, the more we get to, like, as you say, we share them. It's like it's difficult moments are halved, spreading them out. And I think that that should be the focus of you are allowed to go through this. You're allowed to be here. You're an emotional human being. That's the point, right? And it's easy to say it. But I think in that moment, if you do treat yourself as an emotional 5-year-old, I'm just like, what do you need in that moment? You need to be heard.
The basics.
Like go right back to basics. You need to be seen. You need to be heard. You need to give yourself like the grace and the love to go through those difficult, sensitive moments in a difficult and sensitive way. You know?
Yeah.
I think it's a really nice time to share a personal reflection that we both had this week. We had a really difficult day or couple of days. Independently, but then collectively brought them back together, just feeling extremely tired, extremely overwhelmed, and extremely like, it was the day also that we hit 10,000 followers on Instagram, which is so objectively cool. But both of us were just so flat and so overwhelmed that we were like, this is just, it's not, this 10,000 followers isn't rubbish, but how we're feeling right now is just rubbish and overwhelming. And from what all of our extensive conversations, but also just self-development and all those things, I was proud of myself in that moment to say to Charlie, and which you definitely agreed with, and something I'd probably actually learned from you previously, was today's not the day to fix these feelings. I can just feel overwhelmed, I can feel tired, and I can feel like I'm about to cry. I don't need to try and remedy that, because if I try to, I will just spiral, because I can't remedy feeling sad today. Like, it's okay, and I shouldn't try to remedy that. It's not something to fix. It's also okay just to feel sad and overwhelmed in that moment. It's exactly like, let's just go back to the basics and look after this version of myself that just needs to be looked after right now. Tomorrow I might be feeling less existential about all of this, because physiologically, all of the above, I'll be less tired, I'll have more resilience to use my usual tools like we're working on. But right now I don't have that, and let me not catastrophize not having that, because we don't always have that. It's not linear, right? It's okay just now to look after that 5-year-old and feel sad, feel overwhelmed, and feel tired.
And like the only way out is through.
But in saying that to each other, it was like, cool, let's just feel crap right now. We don't need to fix this, like, because that's just going to make it more agitated, because we literally cannot fix this right now. And saying fix implies that there's also something wrong.
Exactly.
It's not necessarily something to fix.
Wanting a positive experience, wanting a more positive experience is in turn a negative experience.
Yes, exactly.
And I think the only way out is through. You've got to sit with them, you've got to go through those emotions and allow yourself to feel them in all their capacities.
So in essence, is this what a healthier inner dialogue looks like, is allowing the space for the negative? Is that to like not summarize, but to try and encapsulate, the whole journey from this, what a healthy dialogue actually looks like with someone.
Phenomenal question. I think that a healthy relationship with yourself, a healthy internal dialogue it's like a diet, right? It's got to be balanced. And it's not that you're trying to get rid of the negative thoughts and get rid of the negative feelings.
Okay.
It's about being able to understand that if there are these negative feelings, that's okay. We're going to work together. We're going to go through them, and there is room for growth.
Yeah.
Right. So there's room to work through them. There's room for also the positives to come in as well, and not to be stuck in these sort of overwhelming negative spirals. Right. So I guess that's the difference between sort of like a fixed mindset, which has no room for growth. It's very black and white. It's very stagnant.
Yeah.
It's very like, oh, all of these things are happening to me and I have no agency in this situation, as opposed to a growth mindset or a more positive mindset, which is these things are bad, right? Because bad things are going to happen in our life. These things are bad, but that's okay. I can go through them. I have agency. I can make a change if I move forward. And like, there is space for growth.
Really interesting. Yeah, the whole fixed and growth, or the fixed and growth mindset.
You heard of the locus of control, right?
Yeah.
Internal, external. That's, I think, A level.
A-level
psychology. It's the same, isn't it? If you're looking, like you say, the world is happening to me, you're not necessarily always, but like you're kind of a victim of, or deterministic of.
Absolutely.
The traffic lights are always red for me. I'm always supposed to be late. I'm always okay. Well, that's your external, locus of control. Maybe how can we find that joy, and how can we do those things internally? And ultimately, like, it's not binary really. Like, I don't think it is anyway. It's not really binary like that. We're somewhere always in the middle, or fluctuating. Exactly. But it's coming back to how do we sort of interpret. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm literally listening to you here, and I've got a really funny, it's such a menial example. Back in university, my friend I live with, Oscar, he always said if you walked on 3 drain pipes in a row, bad luck, it will go really poorly, like you can't do it. I remember just hearing him, and this was when I was in a stage of challenging everything. I remember I was like, you're wrong. For me, if I walk on 3 drain pipes in a row, I'm the luckiest man in the world. I remember vividly saying it out loud and practicing it just because I thought I could challenge it. I kid you not. There was 3 drain pipes before like a sort of crossroads where you'd have to wait for a traffic light. I don't know what it was. Always was a green man. I'd walk over them and I'd look up, green man. It was far more than any sort of like nuance. It happened daily for weeks. I remember like, what? But I had this trust in this higher power. I was like, yep, I know what I'm doing is right.
Isn't it wonderful if someone hadn't thought about that, right? They wouldn't have seen this positive thing.
Yes.
They wouldn't have noticed the drain pipes. They would have noticed that the man is always green. They would have been in their head thinking about something else.
Yeah.
But because you were there, you were like, this is going to be lucky. You saw the luck where you went, and therefore you had a more positive experience.
So it brings it back to what you were saying earlier, is you search for
circle.
it's the negative attribution bias.
Yeah,
Indeed.
absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I mean,
That pesky amygdala.
always
Sitting around
that pesky. I mean, I know we've gone over a lot in this episode, a lot of tools and tips, how to first spot, become aware, how to, see certain triggers and then work on them and tell yourself a different story. Is there one standout piece of advice or standout tool that you can give to our listener with us right now, who maybe they're not aware, maybe they are aware, they're daunted? Anything that you can give to this listener to sort of say, hey, this is what I would say if you want to fix your inner dialogue?
I think that you are in the right place. You are here, you are doing all the things that you need to be doing. And it starts with awareness and then understanding that you have agency and control in this situation. And if you want to make the change, if you want to push forward with it, it is possible. It is there. Like you are in control.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Let's go.
I love that. Control. You take back control. I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, this is so much of a bigger conversation. I'm almost annoyed. It's just like a 1 hour thing.
I could keep going forever, I feel.
There's also the whole element of communication, what that looks like as well, which I know we've just scratched the surface of as well. But of course, the whole sort of mission today is to figure out the inside of us, and what that looks like as well.
The awareness and all of the above. Yeah, could go on about this for hours. We struggle so much to stick within a socially acceptable podcast time frame.
Episode 2 in Pyrenees when.
It's even more difficult to stay disciplined. But fantastic, fabulous conversation.
Wow.
Love that. And
Thank you.
I truly feel like, thank you. The listeners also will resonate a lot and take a lot away from that. Whether it's more of even just the self-awareness, the beginning steps, or all of the above, those practical things as well. Super, super helpful. Yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I feel like I want to come again if I'm ever invited.
Never.
South of France. Yeah, when I'm still up in South of France, like we'll definitely have to do a Pyrenees like backdrop.
That boosted my mood.
Yeah, let's do it.
Speaking of what boosted your mood, we're going to go on to our weekly mood boost.
We love a segue.
Perfect. Perfect segue.
Very nice. Well, a tradition that we always have on these episodes, wrapping up again, finding the joy in the everyday. It's not in these massive wins. It can be, but it's also in the small wins as well. These weekly mood boosts is simple things that lift our mood when things are tough. Sam, we're going to let you think of it for a little bit if you don't have it yet. We're going to start with Marcus.
Okay.
Marcus, what was your weekly mood boost?
My weekly mood boost. Sitting right in front of me, Sam, for the listener. Sam, and the fact that he's running his first ever race run tomorrow. It's pretty cool. I'm vicariously very excited. Really happy to be part of that experience. So we're all doing the Vitality 10K, and I didn't know, you'd said when you arrived that it was your first ever like competitive race, or not competitive, but like a formal race. So yeah, we're gonna have a great time, and I'm really excited to be part of that with you.
I am so excited as well. I have no idea what to expect in like the best way. You know, it's just going to be there. Super excited for crowds and running with everyone.
100%.
A great one for your first.
I'm sure I'm going to get a bit addicted to it and be like, what's next? Let's go.
Yeah. Look in something else.
San Sebastian, Stockholm Marathon, many to come.
Let's go.
Well, Stockholm I'm still deciding on, so
We're trying to get Charlie back into running.
I am. I literally got off the Dolomites like 2 weeks ago. Ignore him.
Not enough.
Do more. Yes.
Charlie, what's yours?
My weekly mood boost. As we mentioned in our previous episode, we were at a vineyard tour. We did a little vineyard tour number over in Henley. A ladybug landed on our good friend Noor. There's a little picture I'm going to put in on the Instagram carousel. There's a ladybug land on her, which was very nice. Nature saying hello.
Nature saying hello.
We saw it. We were freaked out, and I took a picture and
nice
boost my mood.
Joyful moment, wasn't it?
It was indeed. Simple, but it was lovely. So, Sam,
I've got a really easy one. My brother got married this week.
There we go.
Yeah, it was pretty epic.
That's insane.
And if we're going to be really specific, there was also a like falcon and an owl at this wedding,
Very
where
cool.
you could like meet them and take photos, and that was
arguably
just
cooler.
Yeah, more important and more exciting than the wedding, I feel.
What's his and his partner's name?
Jeremy Hughes and Frankie Hughes now.
Congratulations, Jeremy
Very
and
nice.
Frankie.
The Hughes family grows. Very nice.
Yeah,
Jeremy and Frankie,
nice.
well done.
Lovely
Huge.
job.
Well, how
Great
wholesome. What an
stuff.
episode.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
So much to reflect on.
What a
Keep-
journey.
Keep going. But any final thoughts? Any final reflections?
No.
I look like a burnt chicken nugget. I love myself. That's mine.
I don't know what else to say.
I just think thank you so much for having me here. Thank you so much for creating this platform where we can have these deep topics about emotions and about trying to better ourselves. And I think for me, my goal with creating this community online was to create a community of people that wanted to feel better and to be better and to have better relationships.
Yeah.
And I just think that this is a wonderful platform and I love it. So thank you very much to you guys. Thank you for listening and being here and making it all possible.
Yes,
And
thank you.
Yeah.
Where can our listeners find you?
Yes.
At EmotionalSam on Instagram or Facebook. Or if you want to have a chat about anything, you can message me on there, email me on sam@emotionalsam.com. I'd love to hear from you and, keep these conversations going.
There we go.
100%.
Go show Sam some love.
Rock on.
Right. We'll
Well-
do some ASMR while Charlie turns the podcast off.
Yeah.
We just do some.
Thanks, guys.
I love myself even though I look like a burnt chicken nugget.